You are not experiencing reality. You are experiencing your beliefs. And that single realization has the power to change your entire life. Most people spend years trying to change their circumstances. They try to change their income, their relationships, their appearance, their opportunities, their environment. They spend years fighting what they see, but very few ever stop to ask a much deeper question. What if the world I am experiencing is being filtered through what I already believe? What if reality is not happening to me, but through me? Think about it. Two people can walk into the exact same room. One feels ignored, the other feels welcomed. One sees rejection, the other sees possibility. The room is the same, the people are the same, the circumstances are the same. So what changed? The observer, the meaning, the belief. And that belief becomes the reality they experience. This is happening every single day of your life. The person who secretly believes they are not good enough notices every criticism, every mistake, every failure. Their mind becomes a detective searching for evidence, not because the evidence is everywhere, but because that is what the mind has been instructed to find. And what is terrifying is that most people never realize they are doing it. The belief becomes invisible, it becomes normal, it becomes reality. You no longer see the belief, you look through it. Imagine wearing a pair of glasses your entire life. After a while, you forget they are even there. You think the color you see is simply how the world looks. You never question the lens, you only question the world. That is exactly how beliefs work. Most people spend years trying to fix their reality while never questioning the lens through which they are looking. They question timing, luck, other people, their past, their circumstances, the economy, their appearance, their age, their opportunities, everything except the one thing creating the experience itself, their assumptions. And this is why change feels so difficult, because you cannot consistently experience a reality that contradicts the identity you are holding. You can force positive thoughts all day long. You can repeat affirmations for hours. You can visualize endlessly. But deep down, if your identity says, "I am not chosen, I am not worthy, I am always unlucky, I am always abandoned," then your subconscious mind will continue recreating experiences that match those assumptions. Because consciousness is always seeking consistency. It wants your outer world to match your inner world, whether that inner world is empowering or destructive. And this is where many people misunderstand manifestation. Manifestation is not about convincing the universe to give you something. It is not about begging, forcing, chasing, or hoping. It is about becoming internally aligned with the version of yourself who already experiences what you desire. Because reality does not respond to what you want. Reality responds to who you believe you are. A person can desire wealth for years, but if they secretly identify as someone who struggles, they will unconsciously recreate struggle. A person can desire love desperately, but if they identify as someone who is always abandoned, they will unconsciously attract situations that mirror abandonment. Not because life is punishing them, but because consciousness is reflecting them. Life is often acting like a mirror, and mirrors do not argue. They simply reflect. The painful part is that many of these beliefs were never consciously chosen. They were inherited, learned, conditioned, absorbed during moments when we were too young to question them. Maybe someone made you feel invisible. Maybe someone made you feel unwanted. Maybe life taught you that success requires suffering. Maybe repeated disappointments convinced you that happiness never lasts. Over time, these experiences stopped being memories. They became identities. And identities are powerful, because once you identify with something, your entire perception reorganizes itself around that belief. You stop seeing possibilities, you start seeing limitations. You stop seeing opportunities, you start seeing obstacles. You stop expecting miracles, you start expecting disappointment. And then one day you look at your life and conclude, this is just who I am. But what if it isn't? What if the version of you that feels stuck is not the real you? What if it's simply a collection of assumptions repeated long enough to feel true? Because here's something most people never consider. If beliefs can be learned, they can be unlearned. If identities can be created, they can be recreated. And if your current reality was built from old assumptions, a new reality can be built from new assumptions. This is where your power begins. Not when circumstances change, not when someone finally chooses you, not when money arrives, not when life becomes easier. Your power begins the moment you realize that your identity is not fixed. You are not trapped inside the story you inherited. You are not trapped inside the limitations you were taught. You are not trapped inside the version of yourself you have been repeating for years. Because the greatest prison is not a physical one. It is an identity that no longer serves you. And the beautiful thing is that identities can dissolve the moment you stop feeding them. Ask yourself honestly, who have I been believing myself to be? Not what do I want, not what do I fear. Who do I believe I am? Because that answer is quietly shaping everything. Your relationships, your finances, your opportunities, your confidence, your future, everything. If you believe you are valuable, life begins reflecting value. If you believe you are loved, life begins reflecting love. If you believe you are capable, life begins reflecting capability. And no, this does not happen overnight, but it begins immediately. The moment the identity changes, reality starts reorganizing itself, first internally, then externally. And this is why self-concept is everything. Self-concept is not ego, it is not arrogance. It is the collection of assumptions you hold about yourself. It is the answer to the question, who am I? And life will always mirror that answer. The version of you that has everything you desire already exists as a possibility. That version is not luckier than you, not smarter than you, not more deserving than you. That version simply believes differently, walks differently, expects differently, identifies differently. And because identity changes perception, behavior, and expectation, it ultimately changes reality. You do not become a new person by forcing the world to change. You become a new person by changing who you believe yourself to be. And then the world begins reflecting that transformation. So stop asking, why isn't reality changing? Start asking, who am I being? Because that answer changes everything. You are far more powerful than you have been taught, far more capable than your past suggests, far more limitless than your current circumstances imply. The life you desire is not waiting somewhere outside of you. It begins inside of you, inside your assumptions, inside your beliefs, inside your identity. Change the identity, the beliefs begin to change. Change the beliefs, the perception begins to change. Change the perception, the reality begins to change. And one day you will look around at a completely different life and realize something extraordinary. The world did not change first, you did. And the moment you changed, everything else followed. If you liked this video, then hit like, share and subscribe for more content like this.